Hey fellow stock guardians, it's Hoda Mehr, founder and CEO of StockCard, and this is a new series on StockCard's YouTube channel to get you started on doing research with a StockCard team and sharing with you the information and research we gather here at StockCard as we manage our own portfolio. So today I want to talk to you about NFTs. NFTs, or non-fungible tokens, have been the talk of the town. You can't just spend a few minutes on social media like Twitter or Instagram and cannot stop hearing about NFTs and so invested in NFTs, or this platform is creating a new marketplace for NFTs. So I want to talk to you about NFTs and tell you about what we found about what is going on in the NFT market space. How is it that everybody, the who's of the world of investing, are all talking about NFTs? And most importantly, talk about how can we participate in the market as investors without maybe directly investing in NFTs. And I want to share with you a few stocks that you may want to consider adding to your portfolio that gives you exposure to the NFT market and space without maybe directly buying the doodles that people are selling online. So without further ado, let's get into it. It all started last Friday after the day was over, and I was sitting with my husband outside in the backyard and just kind of scrolling through NFTs. But I also remembered a few conversations I had past weekend with some investors who were asking us, what is it a StockCard gonna do about NFTs? And my initial reaction was, well, NFT is just investing in anything else. We're gonna look at the fundamentals behind the NFT. And if it is something that is good, we're gonna add it to our platform, and then our users are gonna be able to invest in it. And our creators, our portfolio publishers, can also add NFTs to their portfolios, and we will enable that on our platform. Obviously, that's our promise to you. We can always do that as we build a StockCard platform in the future. But I also started, as I was just spending some time outside and just enjoying the weekend, I poured some drink for myself and I said, okay, I have one drink and I'm gonna go through and learn as much as I can about NFTs and summarize everything I've learned in a Twitter thread, and also talk to you folks about what I've learned. So today, let's just talk about first what is NFTs, and then I will get into how we might be able to participate in the NFT space without really investing into the actual NFTs. Number one thing I've learned about NFTs is that the non-fungible assets, if you don't know what they are, they're basically a digital representation of any assets that you can have online or offline that can have a monetary value to it. So that was a lot of big words, but all that means is that, for example, you want to own a piece of a building, or maybe you own a piece of a company, which is a stock, and you can get a digital certification of that ownership in the form of an NFT. So NFTs is similar to stock certificates, which we don't have them anymore, but in a digital form. But it also comes with some coding. So just the same as when you interact with a StockCard on our website and you can click on things and it does things for you as you interact with it, NFTs are similar to that. Not only it confirms that you own something, maybe in physical world or in the actual world, but it also comes with some code that defines who owns it and what do you own actually. And it's also open, available, what they call is on a open ledger, and everybody in the network that is managing that NFT knows who owns what. So that's really basically what NFT is. Hopefully that description made sense. Okay, so that's everything I put in that Twitter thread about what is the NFT and what is the advantage, what is it that everybody is excited about. Then I've read about something that is called a smart contract. So smart contract, what is it? Smart contract is that you and I get into a legal contract, for example, and we say, if Hoda delivers 5 videos per month to the StockCard communities, the Stockcardian community will pay a Stockcard X amount of dollars. Of course, we're not charging you for any of the videos, but that could be in a smart contract. And the code, the piece of software that is embedded into this smart agreement, will make sure that this happens. It makes sure that counts the number of the videos that I would create. And once it hits the 5, that for example, I promised in that digital contract, you will have to pay me, meaning that the smart contract will go to your associated wallet, payment wallet, that usually it's in cryptocurrencies, and pay me that amount of money that we agreed on. So that's sort of a smart contract. A smart contract is a software-based contract that sort of gets implemented on its own using the software technology. The interesting side of NFTs is when NFTs get combined with a smart contract. Here's where the world gets very interesting. One of the people who have seen does a great job and sort of doing the first crack of this smart contract and NFTs is Gary Vee. So Gary Vee, if you don't know, he's an entrepreneur, he has the community, he's been sort of a teacher in the world of business, and he started from having an online set of videos about wine tasting, and he was selling his family winery products. Now he has this media empire, tech company, and he does a lot of motivational videos and quotes and sort of content creation on internet and on LinkedIn and on Twitter, on all sort of social media. So Gary Vee has created something that is called VeeFriends. And on VeeFriends, he sells these like doodles, almost doodles. He sits down and does doodles by himself, and then he uploads them online, then sell them as NFTs. So far you ask yourself, why do I pay to Gary Vee a couple of Ethereum or whatever other cryptocurrency that people are using to purchase NFTs, to just buy a doodle? At first glance, everyone say because this is a unique asset, there's only one doodle available, that it looks like this. But more importantly, what Gary Vee does is that he also attached access to his community conference for 3 years to that NFT. So that's where that a smart contract and NFTs come together, and it gets very interesting. Of course, he could have been selling tickets online for his conference, but he's also using this momentum that is being created in the NFT market and selling the access to his conference through these NFT purchases. It's a lot more exciting, and also it's a very good experimentation in the world of a smart contract and NFT. So that's basically what I was telling everybody on Twitter and the research I've done. The summary of it is that NFTs is there's a lot of hype, there's a lot of ugly doodles that are being sold online as NFTs, but there is an interesting aspect to NFT, which is when you attach a smart contract to NFTs. That's one side. The other side of the NFT market is what I've learned recently through reading the latest blog post newsletter by ARK Invest. So if you're not familiar, ARK Invest produces this newsletter that they share a lot of the research that they do, and really good quality research with the community openly. They basically give it away. So on their latest newsletter, they had a conversation about NFTs, and they talked about what is happening in the world of NFTs. And I'm reading off of their newsletter. It says, in August, non-fungible token NFT trading volume surged as decentralized marketplace OpenSea. OpenSea is one of those exchanges that you could buy NFTs from or trade them there. It's similar to New York Stock Exchange, but for NFTs. So as decentralized marketplace OpenSea crossed a record-breaking $3 billion in monthly volume, up from $248 million during July, its second best month. So at this time, 3 NFT categories are driving the explosion in the growth. One-on-one pieces, meaning that an artist may create a doodle, but not just any doodle that like I do or Gary Vee does. It's actually an artist who knows what art is and can do beautiful digital arts. Maybe they sell unique one-of-a-kind pieces. ARK then continues and say avatars. It's everywhere. When you go on Twitter, you see everybody's changed their pictures to this digital picture, which is an NFT-based piece of art that they bought and they're using it. It's more fun and there's a lot of hype around it. It may go, something very crazy might happen and somebody may pay a lot of money for it, but it's just mostly fun. And then art continues and say the third piece is in-game assets. So in-game assets is basically, we're talking about video games, right? You've seen on video game platforms, there's a lot of interesting art. Maybe it's a specific clothing or a unique piece of collectible. Or if you're gamers, you probably know all these sort of gadgets and guns and arrows and all that good stuff that players or gamers like to collect in video games. And those can also become NFTs because they are digital, they are being consumed in the digital world, and why not them have some sort of a digital contract attached to them, which is the natural thing. What Art said was very interesting is that the involvement of brands. So a brand like Nike, for people who are sneakerheads, people who love to collect the sneakers, there is a lot of NFTs, so uniquely designed sneakers in the form of digital pictures. We've seen Nike getting involved. We've also seen Budweiser getting involved. And somebody on Twitter was saying something very interesting, saying that, okay, brands now realize they can just sell a visual, beautifully designed version of their product without the need to manufacture it or produce it or make it or distribute it, so none of the costs, and they can actually sell it with a high cost and people are willing to buy it, which is what Nike's NFT sneakers are doing. So what's not to like? And that's an interesting aspect to it, because when brands get involved, marketing dollars get involved, and that might be something there to explore. So that's the second piece. On my Twitter thread, I realized there's an opportunity with NFT and smart contract. And from this piece, from ARC, we realized there might be an opportunity from a marketing side for brands to get involved, and also in video games, there is opportunity to build things. And there's a lot of examples of games that are sort of grassroots is being created on online communities. There's not really anything interesting as of now. It's just the experimentation side of it that is interesting. So that's something that we want to have an eye on as investors and see what happens. Then I want to tell you, now what? Now that we know all that background, can we invest in NFTs as public market investors? So as of now, there's no NFTs that has gone public. I mean, doesn't really make sense as of now to think about NFTs gonna go public. Platforms like OpenSea is also not public. They're privately held companies in the startup sort of Silicon Valley area. And so we can, as publicly traded company investors, we can't invest in them. So a few weeks ago, my team and I launched a blog post which went with the launch of our NFT list of stocks or collections on a stock art platform, because I asked ourselves, what can stock market investors do when it comes to investing in NFTs? Now I'm pulling this up on our blog, and I'll put a link to our blog post about the NFT list of stocks. It's a very good read. I highly recommend you guys take a look at it. But what I wanted to share from it is that the world of NFTs, as it stands today, if we want to invest in them, there are still opportunities. So there's NFT software providers, there are NFT marketplaces, there are NFT collectibles, there are NFT games and NFT music. So we took all the publicly traded companies that are out there and looked in at who is involved with NFTs. It may not be their main business. As a matter of fact, most of these stocks that we are saying they're involved with NFTs, NFT is not their main business, but somehow, somewhat they're involved in either software, marketplace, collectible, games, or music related NFTs. So as usual, if you go on a stock art platform, and I'm going to pull it up right now in front of me in my screen, and I'll show you on the screen too, is that if you pull a stock art and type in NFTs or non-fungible assets, In the search bar, you see that list of NFT softwares, marketplaces, games, and collectible. And then there's this whole list of NFT stocks available in Stock Card platform. There's 26 stocks in there. And this could be your starting point in order to start investing to NFT related stocks. And now I want to do something even more interesting. I want to go to the screener tab, create a screener, and pull up NFT non-fungible tokens list of stocks on this screener, and I'm going to call NFT stocks worth owning. And okay, so we have 26 non-fungible token stocks. I'm going to make sure, as usual, invest in companies that have high growth potential. I want to go with companies that have tons of cash, because NFTs is very experimental. So you don't want to invest in a company that is just struggling with a lot of cash, because they still need to put a lot of cash into those experimental R&D type of NFT stuff. And you would want them to have enough cash to be able to fund it all the way to success. So I'm going to focus on companies with cash availability. And what I usually like to add here is potentially companies that have sales growth. So it's really betting on NFT related stocks, is betting on companies that somehow connected to the NFT world, but also have all the sales and cash required to fund the development of NFTs, which are sort of startup-like and experimental companies. I hit apply, and voila, there's 3 companies shows up that are NFT active. They have tons of cash available, and they have high growth potential with good or positive sales growth rate. And no surprise, big tech companies show up. Microsoft and Google are the companies that are showing up on this research. So it's not a big surprise to see big technology companies get involved, but it's also good to know that it's investing in these big technology companies. It's not only for their traditional business, but they're also experimenting with new experimentations like NFT. If I remove my fast revenue growth filter from this list, I'll get 2 more stocks added. One is World Wrestling Entertainment, WWE, which they got involved into NFTs pretty rapidly early on. And then another one company that I don't know, it's called Funko. Ticker FNKO. Funko, FNKO. So if I click on Funko, let's see what this company is all about. I have no idea what they are and who they are, but we can take a look together. And let's see who they are. It says Funko is a US-based pop culture consumer products company. Pop culture NFTs fits very well. It creates whimsical, fun, and different products which enable customers to express their affinity for their favorite through movie, TV shows, video games, musician, or sport teams. The company holds license and the rights to create tens of thousands of characters, including Game of Thrones, Walking Dead, Disney, Marvel, Harry Potter, Fallout, and so on. So this is basically a company who has the IP license, intellectual property license, to be able to create NFT version of these characters, which gets very, very interesting because people, just the same as people want to have collectible sneakers, and we used to buy action figures, maybe there will be a future where people would want to own the digital version of their favorite movie character or video game character. The company is quite small, almost about $1 billion in market cap. It's growing very rapidly because the non-fungible token market is expected to grow by 50% per year in the next couple of years. And when you look at its financial status, sales growth has some challenges this year. Profitability is pretty solid. And the company has tons of cash available, and also it does generate free cash flow. So this is not just one of those startups already started and getting into NFTs as a new company. This company's already been in creation of these characters and been profitable and generates free cash flow. And from a valuation point of view, which is interesting, if you use their price to sales ratio, price to free cash flow ratio, and even price to earnings ratio, either the company is fairly priced or undervalued. So I need to get into this company a little bit more and get to know them a little bit more, but it's something worth taking a look and potentially add to your watch list if you are considering investing in the NFT space. And I'll be watching this one further too. All right, so what we learned today, let's recap. There's a lot of hype. There's a lot of doodles and avatars that are being sold in NFT format online. That is difficult to really understand what's going on. But there's an aspect of NFTs, which is when NFTs are combined with a smart contract that are becoming very interesting that we wanted to keep an eye on. There's also the part of brands investment into NFTs, just the same as what Nike does in order to sell collectible or digital art version of its sneakers and other products. Other brands like Budweiser is also getting involved. And lastly, there is a possibility to invest in NFT-related stocks already. Mostly are existing technology companies like Google, Microsoft, even Coinbase that you may want to consider investing in. But there's also some smaller players like Funko, ticker FNKO, that you may want to consider and add to your watch list if you were considering investing in the NFT space. So folks, let me wrap up. I hope you enjoyed this episode. This was sort of a well-researched but open and free-flow conversation into camera as a replacement for our daily roadshow based on the feedback we have been collecting from you folks in the past couple of weeks. I really hope you enjoyed it. Let me know how you like this new format in the comments or reply back to the email that you received from admin@stockcard.io, and let me know how you like it, or find me on Twitter or find me on the live chat, and I'm happy to have a chat with you and hear whether this is a new format that you enjoy watching and hearing from us, the entire Stockcard team. Thank you so much for watching, listening, and reading what we produce and what we share with you. I'll see you very soon. Bye.